A gun expert is casting doubt on actor Alec Baldwin's account of the deadly shooting on the set of Rust. This as testimony continues in the involuntary manslaughter and evidence tampering trial of the film's armorer, Hannah Gutierrez-Reed. For more on the trial, I want to welcome Julia Jacobs. She's a culture reporter for the New York Times. Thank you for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
There's lots to get into here. I want to start with a firearms expert that testified yesterday, saying that he sees no evidence the gun used in the shooting was broken. Let's take a listen.
If I've decided what I'm going to shoot at is to be shot at, pull the trigger. Hammer falls off of a ledge, a little notch. Actually, it's more of a step on the hammer.
So, Julia, explain to us how this testimony actually sort of contradicts what Alec Baldwin is alleging happened.
Right. So remember, after the Rust shooting happened, after Halyna Hutchins died on the set of Rust, Alec Baldwin did an interview in which he said that he did not pull the trigger of that gun, that he pulled the hammer back, he let it go, and the gun went off. Well, this firearms expert, his name is Lucien Haig, testified at the trial of Hannah Gutierrez-Reed that that wasn't possible, that the trigger had to have been pulled or depressed for the gun to go off.
Interesting. What else are we expecting to hear? Who else will testify?
Right. So we have many crew members who were in the room that day who, witnessed what was going on set the day the gun went off. And today we're going to have the lead detective in the case. Her name is Alexandria Hancock, take the stand. The jury has been seeing a long police interview of Hannah Gutierrez-Reed, which is expected to continue on longer today.
And, what's interesting to me is the defense in this case, basically, that she wasn't set up for success. She wasn't set up to really protect the actors and everyone else on the set as well as possible. Explain how that's being handled during this trial.
Right. So the defense's argument is she wanted to do her job. She knew what job she needed to do, but she was prevented from doing it. Number one, from having two jobs in which she was dealing with props at the same time that she was dealing with guns. And number two, from not being allowed on set in that church at that time. And, the defense argues that if she had been there, she would have checked the gun again. She would have done the safety protocols that she should have done based on her training.
And I'm just wondering, because Alec Baldwin's trial obviously has not yet begun. That's set to happen later on this summer in July. Could what happens in this case impact the outcome of that one?
Absolutely. I mean, you have the same evidence in Alec Baldwin's case as in Hannah Gutierrez-Reed's case. There are actually moments of the trial where sometimes you feel like we are talking about the prosecution of Alec Baldwin. The prosecutor even had to remind jurors that this is the trial of the armorer, Hannah Gutierrez-Reed. And so what the defense is arguing here is that had Alec Baldwin not pulled that trigger, none of this would have happened. And so anything negative on Alec Baldwin actually helps the armorer in this case.
Okay, interesting. In a lot of these cases that involve celebrities, sometimes there is some kind of star witness, and that creates a pivotal moment in the case, in the trial. Have we seen that? What are you expecting in the next week?
The witnesses here are really just heating up. We've had a lot of in-the-weeds testimony about the ammunition in this case, and that's necessary for the prosecution to make their argument that Hannah Gutierrez-Reed, brought live ammunition onto the set. That's going to be a complicated, detailed argument for them to make, and she denies it. So we're just heating up now with sort of other crew members who are going to give their testimony of what happened that day.
Okay, lots to follow here. Julia Jacobs, thank you for your time and perspective. We appreciate that.
Thanks for having me.